You are watching Access LaPorte County, Channel 97. Coming up next is the September 18th, 2024 meeting of the Long Beach Human Resources Committee. You can find more information for this meeting by visiting www.accesslaportecounty.org.
Call to order the HR Committee, Town Long Beach, September 18, 2024. Any public comments? No, let's jump to unfinished business. Actually, nobody mind who's ordering business because of the to-do list. Mike, I thought we left our events meeting that we were going to ask Ogletree Deacons National and Stewart to generate a generalized vote for the event. Is that?
So I copied it on the notes, they sent to us asking for them.
Yeah.
And I haven't received that from them. So, she gave us the quote in the initial, email she sent to us. And I don't know, I don't know, so I'll have to close it.
Okay.
But it's, it said they could take care of hospital.
Yeah.
Or if something deep, they need to deep dive on something that is,
Once we get that formal vote from them, I'll update that to them. Okay. All right, that takes care of item number 2. Let's go back to item number 1. These employee handbook section reviews were left over from previous discussions that we had. And so compensation was a holdover, I believe, for me. That's starting roughly on page 38. But I'll let everybody, because this format is a little bit different now, I'll give everybody a couple seconds to get to that section.
It's a section of application.
Yeah.
Page 4.
Is that where you have it, maybe?
Only 7 experience, followed by 4 stars.
Yes. Okay. What actually been?
Or 9.
Wow.
I got it. It's pretty- it's another kind if you look at-
Yeah, at the top of page 41 starts overtime. Is that what you're looking at?
Different.
It'll format differently based on the size.
Okay.
So what is the self?
So it's under health and safety, and it starts as compensation.
Yeah.
Is that what you have, Mark? Employee expense reportings first.
Yeah. That's the main
So mine is, I guess,
43.
43-ish. Or just you could search for compensation.
Mm-hmm.
So my employee got the reporting system 46, so.
Okay.
I just want to know it's. I think it's easy to put things in now.
Okay, are we there? Last time we went through this, there were not any proposed changes to employee expense reporting.
I do see a line, I just haven't noticed this. Employees who work from home may request reimbursement for expenses incurred such as office supplies. That's still pertinent.
Is that standard practice?
No. I think you could probably exclude that. Post-COVID, everybody's back in the office and that, I think we can go ahead and remove that.
What about the elected officials? We're paying for the ones up, internet or?
No, they typically, elected officials will contact us and ask us to provide whatever their needs are, which are few and far between, if any.
And just to be clear, right, this is just what we do. Just because someone, it's in an expense report, doesn't mean it gets approved. So if someone would want office supplies, it could be denied as well.
Typical expenses we have are for hotels, for training, per diem, for travel, for conferences and other training. And again, those are few and far between each year.
Meg, if you want to go ahead and strike that.
Just that one line, right, the next section seems okay. I guess, do you guys have a comma after supplies, and it just kind of teeters off that way?
May request some reimbursement.
Yeah, it's just a typo, I think, with some comma, so I'm just gonna strike that. Okay. Let me see if I can. Maybe if I hit, actually, I need to go up to, if I hit the red X for delete, that just does the line through it, right?
Sure.
Shit. Right, so I'm highlighting it in that, I'm not doing it.
You highlight it, should do
You know, it's, oh, there it is. I tried that, sorry. Okay.
Okay, good. Compensation overtime. Mike, you had some comments here in this section.
overtime. Okay, so department has a lot of overtime subject to the normal department work schedule. And what is this being, how do you work subject to the normal department work schedule, clarifying three funds? Yeah, so, I don't, yeah, so what is, first of all, department has will authorize overtime. I get that, right? I don't know what subject to the normal department work schedule means. What difference is the work schedule? If they work the hours, by law, you gotta pay them overtime if they're over 40 a week. That makes sense? Or to the medicine town?
Yeah, I don't know what it means.
Yeah. Yes, the second portion of that sentence doesn't seem to be necessary. Department heads will authorize a work period.
Yeah.
Whether it's scheduled or scheduled to be.
Well, you can only get overtime in certain ways, right?
4 hours.
Or a holiday,
Or the
any
police.
employee that works a holiday, not the police, but any other employee. That's a different part, overtime that we'll get to, so. Mark, are you okay if we remove the second half of that?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, I'll do that.
Yeah.
Right there, Mike, next question you have?
So I guess I guess we have,
I think this is where we left off in the last meeting, so.
and we just said we would have, legal counsel check to see if we're all clear on changing or deleting the balance that trigger, overtime for the, police officers. So,
I have written down, can we be more strict than the Fair Labor Standards Act, which I think is essentially JD's comment. Consider revising language to match our current practices.
yeah. Jackson, I'm straight, it's more lenient, but that doesn't matter, can we change the numbers, is the question. And I think what we said was, the feeling here is, yes, we can. Let's just make sure, let's not be embarrassed by someone who will come up next year and say, no, this isn't right. Okay,
We
so
would be considering changing it from 84 to 86.
that would be,
Okay.
so I guess we just leave that and, yeah, if it's fine, then we just say, hey, we're allowed to do this. Okay.
Good. Continuing on to page 45. We have no comments there.
Did you ever find her to consider revising the language to match the policy and not conflict with the policy?
I think
Yeah.
that's for the hours.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, got it.
Piggyback on your comment, I think.
Okay.
Mhm. Okay.
Yeah.
On page top 46 there, that was just grammatics, suggesting changing grammatics.
And when we get to that timetable of the perf, which is down a little ways. Yeah, I'll wait on that. Never mind. Keep going.
Okay, wage and benefit changes. Okay. Any other changes on 46? Bring to discuss? Okay, top 47.
What section is it? What is it?
Just the top there, I have it.
I'm on page, see, so.
It's about the work week, work schedule.
Okay, oh yeah, work time, what do you do? Oh yeah, no. The one said the,
Mark, are we okay with at the end of each 2-week pay period, department heads report all time to be paid for each employee? Is that accurate for,
I mean, the employees turn in their time to the department head verifies the time notated on the employee timesheet to make sure that they're not putting down anything outside of what they did work.
right,
So,
so just leave it?
so
Okay.
I'm good with that.
Okay.
Work week, work schedule. I've changed the rest of page 47. On to employee benefits, there's a few changes here. Yeah, I just did that section, I read your more, should read easier.
Meg, did you get a chance to confirm that short and long-term disability by
No,
chance?
that's one that I did not yet.
Not a problem. I just see it's notated in this section.
Whether we should delete that part or not, right? If we offer that. I will email back with that.
And then this is just kind of a breakdown of contributions. The spreadsheet in here, and Meg, I saw your comment.
Yes.
11.2.
Yes. It's 11.2, it has been since 2015. And if it were to change, I would be notified by the state, and I think this is probably just a typo. It is, you know,
Is that,
yeah, it's dictated by legislation, so.
Okay.
And our employee portion is correct.
Yep.
Mark, the 250 annual under Hoosier Start, that's probably why you mentioned that amount to me. The resolution I found only shows 200. Are we interested in that resolution's from 05 or 06? Can't recall. It clearly states annual, year-end, $200. So we either do a updated resolution, and that will affect the budget for 25, because I believe we only budgeted for 200. Based on the resolution, I was going to pay out 200 for last year on October 27th for 2023. The 2024 payment would be made the second pay of December, since that's a year-end payment. This is another one.
but just, so I just changed that from 250 to 200 in the schedule. So if a new resolution is required to be amended, this would then require. Okay. This just reflects what's actually.
Okay.
That
Okay.
Yeah, I'd say the statement.
what's mandated? Are we mandated to pay the full amount or?
I know we chose it, I believe.
Okay, so we.
There's a little
zero.
schedule.
but we've chosen the town to pay.
I believe so. From what I can tell on this couple of page resolution,
Okay, the resolution says.
and they would have signed it, like I said, in all 5 rows.
Okay.
And then it was overlooked last year, so we paid. Now, this is another one, sort of like our, what's the one paid at the beginning of the year, Mark, the HSA? Where if somebody leaves well, that one's for the prior year. This is year end for that current year. So if somebody retires, a planned retirement, or, passes away, I have since prorated, although that's not really, do we wanna, Mark and I can decide if, with council, if we're gonna work on things like that.
Well, wait a minute, what are we talking about? We talking about who you started, we talking about HSA?
Well, just both, when, they're once a year payment. So
Yeah.
when people leave, I just want to be consistent, and how should it be documented?
Two things. I think that's very, I'm guessing it's into respect. We just have lawyers that, we put them on lawyer, so we can't.
Right.
When we pay it or how we pay it?
Somebody leaves.
Yeah, which is the wording that I can find needed for me making that decision.
I think
It's not,
what we're gonna find at HSA, if it's paid up front, it's gone. If it's paid in January, that's in the employee bucket, you cannot take it up. It's.
well, that one's for the prior year, so it's not being paid if you pay it in Jan of 24, is that right though? Is that for 23 then, or it's for the new year?
For
For the new year,
Yeah.
yeah, so that's the point. Do we want to pay that twice a year? We actually have that scenario here.
You can pay it 4 times a year.
So that's just,
It's not-
Here, right?
Yeah.
And Meg, just to kind of help you with that, the prior council had discussed that at great length about doing it quarterly, semi-annually, and no change was made, so that's why we continued again this year. They paid it in January. That would be something that, the council could decide to change in 2025.
And look, this is an administrative issue. If we just want to pay it once and then let it go, how many people actually leave in January? I mean,
well, in the past, none
or
of this
even, yeah,
would have been pertinent, but in the last year and a half, we've had probably the most employee changes that we have in a few years. So between police and office, and so it's just, and I do think this is unique. I don't think we're gonna continue to have
right, so,
4, 5, 6 new or leaving employees.
right.
So it's not common, but, it's just
Well,
think about these things because I've got to handle them. So,
on the resolution about the Hoosier Star, was a resolution clear that is a contribution match, that's a matching.
no, it's not a match. It's just a one-time year on the contribution.
The way it's written,
I can send it out and we can interpret it. I'll do that after the meeting.
because the way it's written in this handbook is a contribution, which.
Mark, do you, a match for the employee?
That's the way it should be, because typically, if the employee has to be enrolled in the program, and then once they're enrolled and they're making the minimum, say $20 a paycheck contribution, or actually it would only have to be 10, then they'd be eligible to receive the town's 200, match. So
And it may say matching, I don't.
typically, most employers you have to participate in the plan to get the matching funds from the town.
Yeah, that was just, it's.
Correct, and it does say that.
The way this is formatted, the contribution match is on the next page. It's kind of hidden. That's the only reason I'm bringing. Okay. So the 10.3 was changed to 10.2. Thank you for that. 11.2, excuse me.
And then I will find out about the short-term and long-term facility.
Employee benefits, bereavement.
Sorry, Mike has a comment on the vision and dental. Mark had explained that to me, that if we have enough employees interested, then it becomes a benefit, and we in the past have not. So I think that would mean we would leave that, Mark, unless it changes, if we change. I don't think we're changing health insurance though, right, Mark? Just,
We'll know in October, but I would leave it as is for now because the plan requires 2 or more employees to enroll for the vision or the dental to allow them to be eligible for it. But I would leave it as is.
But the thing is, this is the employee handbook, so they're looking through this, is like a stick in the eye. Oh, we're not giving them this, we're not giving them.
I guess, Mark, is that what you just said?
No, we're-
Stated any? And should it be?
It's part of the Anthem Blue Cross Blue Shield. It's part of their policy that 2 or more employees must participate to have eligibility to participate.
So a new employee would see that in what we give them from the paperwork. Right,
And we,
the insurance.
annually, each employee receives the documents from Anthem Blue Cross Blue Shield, which outlines the programs, the eligibility for the programs. So they're all aware at the beginning of, late October into November, what they are eligible or not eligible for. So,
So let's think if there's not a dissatisfaction for the current employees.
Well, like Mark said, if there's 2 or more, then you can do the vision or dental. So it is an option, it just is depending on.
Yeah, let's presume that we don't have this requirement. What would be the employer, this schedule is about contribution. If the participation rate is not high enough to trigger the insurance, by default, it's 0. What this does is that even if you had 3 and we didn't trigger, is that the employer contribution is 0. From a policy perspective, right, is that what we want it, is that what we want it to say?
yeah, it's those 2 plans, vision and dental, fall back to the employee. So,
So the employer contribution is $0. Even if everybody wants, the town will not be covered, because that's what this is, just the way.
And should we put an employee contribution if they were going to utilize it?
Yeah.
So there's no additional contribution from the town. If we have 3 people sign up on it, there's no additional employer contribution. And there's no additional contribution from the employee. Why not let them sign up?
Well, hang on.
Costs nothing.
no, the employee has to pay for it.
That's what I said in there, just like under the employee contribution, for the Hoosier Star, if you want to, if an employee wants to participate, it's at their cost.
That seems accurate.
Yes, that's.
Okay.
Right, it's,
I thought that, so that's good.
right, is that what's like? I think that's a very important piece to clarify, even if we, regardless of.
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll get rid of that budget.
Oh,
Good.
Page 50. bereavement needs. Where before it was the regular full-time, but added regular part-time, regular full-time and regular part-time. It's been added. Any issue with that?
So you're going to add part-time to the benefit to receive the 3 days as well?
Yeah, agreed.
Mark probably has more experience than me, so
I'm sorry?
I said you probably have more experience on this than I do, if that's.
So like the, for example, if we have a building inspector, 20 hours.
They would not, the way that it's written would not qualify for bereavement leave.
If we're gonna add part-time though, I'd make sure it's just the regular part-time, because we have both general part-time, regular part-time. Regular part-time receive, longevity, PTO.
Right, that's,
Yeah.
that's 100% the reason why I added it, because.
To get the other benefits, right?
Is that the regular full-time and the regular part-time got that giant list from page 48.
Mhm.
And so and that's the way it had been written, is that the bereavement, they had been excluded from. So that just mirrors those two things together.
Yeah, as long as it says regular part-time, yeah.
Yeah, it's clear about regular part.
And they're entitled to, so the regular part-time person works, so if it's like the building inspector who works 20 hours,
30,
I mean, just for the sake of argument,
typically.
I can do the, oh, no, 5 times 6. Typically, 6 hours a day, right? So do they get 6 hours paid for a bereavement day? Or do they-
Well, his is, it's a max of 30. He's not required to work. That's something why he would be, is that accurate, Mark? Why he'd be general and not regular part-time?
Yeah, both the buildings commission secretary and inspector are budgeted 60 hours every 2 weeks, so 30 hours a week. To Mike's point, I would have an objection to say that for to give them the time off of 3 days bereavement would be equal to their normal 6-hour day. Otherwise, if you're giving them 8, you're giving them an extra 2 hours pay. So that's the same way we work their PTO and their longevity. So their PTO is at a reduced rate.
Right. So we're, it sounds like an agreement that would be their reduced day. We need to say that some. If that, I mean, it doesn't seem like they should get 8 hours. Like paid bereavement day. But so. Well, there's gotta be a definition of regular part-time, we just have to take a look at it. Right.
This, I'll talk to Mark later, but sometimes I get confusion on,
Don't stop now. So,
actually, I think job description right here. Building commission secretary is labeled in here as regular part-time. And she works 30 hours, which is actually going to increase next year, so 35, Mark, right?
We're budgeting 70. Mhm.
Right. The water department office manager is regular part-time dash 32 hours per week.
But she's been
Where
doing
does
60.
the Carter being, he can only work a max of 30, but he doesn't have a set schedule of those 30 hours. So, and we're gonna be changing one of those employees, their classification within the handbook that had said full-time is now going to say part-time. So what's the difference then between the building inspector, like for this section, which these are all benefits, right? So I guess those three, then what would be the difference between those two positions anymore? Or are there none then?
So,
Building commission secretary, water department office manager, and then the inspector who is different than both of those.
so somewhere in here, I would put a recommendation that we change those classifications.
I know we already went over this part, but okay.
No, I'm just saying, and this is why, this is general and.
Right, yeah.
I don't know, where we put classifications in that, I don't think we make a difference.
Yeah, Mark, what am I missing on it? I know we've gone over it before.
Yeah, I was going back to page 10 to look at the classifications.
Okay, so general part-time, who are scheduled to work less than a 20-hour work week. And regular part-time says less than 40. So is that the big difference then? And that puts us at having nobody who is general part-time. So I just don't know how that applies. And then when we're trying to differentiate between an inspector versus these two other positions within these other areas of the handbook.
Yeah, because right now we don't have anybody that's really general part-time. All of our part-time employees are regular part-time. We see them on a weekly basis, and then anyone aside from like the park programs are the seasonal temporary employees, which receive no fringe benefits at all.
But they're temporary, that's the key there.
Right. All our other part-time people are classified regular part-time.
And maybe we would have a general part-time in the future, so I don't know if it makes sense to, but I'm just,
Yeah.
how did that apply to these sections for us then?
I think on the briefing one, we just go back in there and put in parentheses, 6 hours per day for a part-time employee. Or no greater than 6 hours, something like that.
But then for
Carter's been working 45 to 60 hours every 2 weeks. More so 50 to 60 lately.
I guess, so what will happen with his PTO? Because is he the same classification as building in the water?
He is, and it's based on what he worked in the previous quarters.
After he's worked long enough to receive PTO. Okay,
Right.
so then this, adding that line, I think 6 hours per day for part-time. Yeah, that covers it then. Okay,
So, is anyone in favor of getting rid of general? Part-time, general?
unless there's some reason to keep it that we're not thinking of for going forward, but guess we could put a note to ask the attorney.
And I don't think there is a big question, it's their own. Our rules. I can't find that, because I put something in there about the revising classification.
But it's very,
Am I right? Is that right?
it's very clear, general part-time versus regular part-time within the benefit. It's a huge difference from a benefit perspective.
Also,
Because a general part-time person isn't listed as eligible for all the benefits listed on page 4.
But like, we don't have,
You have a very long comment in there, right? On that, there's a very long comment on that whole section.
on that page,
Yes, for me, it's page 12.
okay,
It's under employment classifications. And it starts with. So,
Yeah.
you know, page 10 and 12, essentially.
and I'm at 13.
Okay.
Okay, okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, so, so what I had written was,
Oh, yeah, we already went over this then. Okay, so I think we already went over this, although it doesn't seem like we finalized how we're going to change it. Based on your comment, you know,
Yeah,
if we didn't strike it, but it's highlighted with your questioning exactly what we're going over right now, so.
right.
That being said, if we get rid of that paragraph for the general part-time, we just will need to see where else it's mentioned.
Yeah, getting rid of it, then we put everybody outside of seasonal by default into.
Right, which was my.
I guess full-time, I guess,
Right, so it triggers all of that. Right,
right,
and should you want flexibility to hire somebody for 20 hours a week,
Such as a maintenance person,
sure,
so,
then
which,
you would not have, they would be by default then. They,
they do regular part-time.
but would we want them as general purpose, the point, right? Do we want that actually?
correct.
The question is, what's the cost?
Well, I mean, 80% of the health insurance.
Yeah, the cost is definitely greater.
And this year, Mark's another 8.2%. Estimated,
It's looking like for 2025, yes.
so 80% is 6+%. It can be a meaningful amount, especially when you start putting in health insurance.
Correct.
It's likely, and we should make it a practice not to hire people.
Well, that's the other side of it, yeah, positions and
uh,
employees that we would be looking for. The only thing that comes to my head would be a maintenance person that would not be a full-time job. And I have no idea if we have any interest in that, but, I feel like I discussed that with somebody,
Then they're probably gonna be minimum wage.
you know, with all three buildings, community center, public safety, and this building.
There, or hire them, obviously hire a firm to do.
Well, we have cleaning, but see, Mark does a great job of trying to get the actual maintenance. He does most of it, but, okay.
Anyway,
Mhm.
so I propose get rid of the general category.
I might just kind of look into it a little more to make sure there's not some other reason to keep it
Okay.
on my end.
Okay.
But before me, but I'm mostly okay with it.
Maybe just notate off to the side, there's a recommendation to consider removing it, and then when the town council gets the handbook for review, they can, 5 of them can weigh in and see
No, they-
what their thoughts.
no, they- Well,
I agree, though, we don't use it. So we don't use it now. I mean, we either put them in regular.
That's not to say we couldn't put it back in
Right.
if we wanted to, I suppose, as well. Yeah, I'm just gonna see if we had any positions in the past that were classified as this, and what they were, that's all. Okay.
So the other thing then, I'm sorry, you know this?
Yeah,
So the other thing is when we list the benefits, the following is a listing of benefit programs available to regular, full-time, regular, part-time. We got to put vision and dental in there.
but that's where I was saying, do we put a little note that it's dependent on?
Yeah,
Yeah, right,
I mean,
I'm fine with that.
these are all,
Just a reminder, again, they receive it each year with the health information, but sometimes.
so you want me to type it in? Or,
sure, I mean, we've already got the short-term, long-term disability benefit plan written in,
yeah,
and that is something that, again, similar to the vision. But you
yeah.
don't participate.
Look.
So Meg, when we go back to last month, we had before us a request from an employee, the building inspector for healthcare in 2025.
Right, that will affect that market.
Right, and then we said that we weren't gonna offer part-time employees healthcare, but then when you look at the benefits general statement under health and life insurance, and this also is for the life insurance, we don't have life insurance currently on our regular part-time employees. So that would be another expense to the town, because currently,
Well, and that's, again, how is Carter different
he's listed the same as
at this point?
the water department, part-time employees listed as regular part-time.
So we really can't not offer him health now, is that,
No,
um,
because when you look up Honor, Carter, and Diane, they're all listed as regular part-time employees.
well, and I guess therein lies the question, do we want that option or not?
Right, that's exactly.
And then are we going to be adding them to the life insurance policy as well? Which is about, that one's not too bad, it's about $8 a month per employee. Yeah, it's like 7 something a month.
I would, yeah, but the other thing is to say, no, we're not gonna offer it to those, and that doesn't, that classification of employee is not gonna be offered.
Well, currently, we have it in the handbook as being offered, so I think it'll come down to a town council decision. We can make a recommendation to the council, but I think it'd be an administrative decision by the council to decide.
We have an employee who was hired with it, with help, and we have an employee, the inspector, who was hired without it,
Without it.
who was requesting it,
Yeah,
so, I mean,
Wait, say that.
we have a current employee that was hired and got health insurance right away. We have the inspector. Well, this is the one we were gonna change. The job description said part-time.
Okay, the
The
job,
sal, and the handbook says part-time. The
okay,
salary ordinance said full-time.
okay,
We
that's the
were to change the, however you want to look at it, it was there,
yeah,
but that this affects both of those employees then. actually 3 employees, one doesn't take that, but that's,
But just because it was
we can't take it away from the one employee.
what,
I don't think we can take it away from the employee that was
the one that
being
was.
hired with it. And
No, but that was in when the, we're selling this.
what our handbook says that part-time receives help, just not perf. Which is,
But they didn't want, they didn't want.
well, the one has it. Granted, she was hired as full-time, but didn't work 40 hours. I think we've all established we want full-time to be 40 hours.
We also, but then we're getting into the work, the ACE, the first parent said that they want to work 30 hours. But we have 130 hours per month.
Which said that
Before the parent. But that
it
triggers,
could be full-time at 30 hours.
no, it triggers that benefits health insurance.
That's at 30 hours a week, JD?
30 hours per week or up to 60 hours.
Okay, so for the inspector, is he then required to work 30 hours per week if we're going to give him benefits,
Oh,
the help? To
Actually,
me, that's how that reads.
he doesn't work 30 most weeks now.
Right.
and that's where the 130 hours per month, I believe. If a
We're okay, I think, for this year because he was hired without, but we do need to figure this out.
Yeah, because going back to the classification, like the numbers that were, the numbers that were listed in the classification on page 12 or page 12,
I think it seems like along the way, some of this was
that
amended for certain scenarios, but not consistently. So,
Okay, you know what,
yeah, it
we
needs,
need a chart with all these different. So, I mean, we're talking about this, but we just need a chart that lines up the different possibilities. I think,
well, I think we have them. We just need to establish how we want it.
okay,
So, I mean, on the page of the classifications, it says part-time employees get help. It says we don't get hurt. So I think it just,
and it also says a regular part-time employee works less. The regular staff will work less than.
so this all ties into,
But it doesn't trigger minimum. Minimum,
does not.
it's. The way that I'm reading this here does not trigger, it's just less than 40. General. Less than 20, so regular part-time is then 21 to less than 40, 21 to 39.
Okay.
I mean, just talking about the majors.
Right. Okay.
And then Meg, to your point on the public employee retirement fund, the PERF. For that benefit, it doesn't matter on the hours, the state indicates they have to be classified as full-time.
Correct,
So,
because I
yeah,
called on that, and they can work 30 hours and be in for if we classify them as, you're correct.
but the positions we're talking about currently on the job descriptions are classified as regular part-time, and that's how I listed them on the 2025 salary ordinance that the attorney has for review right now. For instance, the water office manager on the 2024 salary ordinance was listed as full-time. I changed it on the 2025. I listed it as part-time to match the approved job description. So,
Part-time regular employees work 21 to 39 hours a week.
yeah.
And are eligible for a substantial amount of benefits as listed on page 48. And now including 30.
So Mark, to your point, it appears, unless we make a change, that Will Carter, in April, he would have been here a year. Does the health depend on do any of those benefits depend on How long you worked?
No.
Anyone remembers? No? Okay, so,
So I guess the question is, though, he's not, to JD's point, what he pulled up, Carter's not working 30 hours a week right now.
but he only has to work 21. Unless, does the health say 30?
For health, it's either 30.
It's required, it's that the employer is to provide.
I think we could still provide it if he's working less than 30 hours. I'll have to check with general insurance.
PCA persons to call.
Yeah.
It doesn't require us to give, it doesn't require us to do anything to call. That is,
I'm fuzzy on that, but that's okay.
since we introduced, well, it's there,
Okay,
right? Oh, sure.
so. That this will affect the budget for next year, it's gonna have to be adjusted a bit.
Wait, did we make a decision?
Well, unless we're going to change,
This is true.
use this, what's it called again? General part-time. But even he doesn't qualify based on the numbers.
But wait, hold on. We should do this based on what classifications we want to have and what benefits they should get. It should be based on who's in the position. If it's someone we like and.
Well,
like, or
that's my
we
point,
gotta push out the rules.
well, trying to differentiate between our positions so that we can make the classifications that we want.
All of ours are regular part-time, so they're all eligible currently.
Right, that's
So,
how the takeaway is, unless we change that.
And that's consistent with the way it's written. Is that regular and full-time, regular part-time employees had health insurance, life insurance, holiday pay, jury duty, leave of absence, longevity pay, PTO, short-term, long disability, long-term disability. As written.
Well, but up in the definition, it says, regular part-time employees receive a limited amount of longevity, holiday, and paid time off.
Okay.
Yeah, in the definition up on top on page 12 or 10 or whatever it is, it does not indicate that they receive health benefits.
What it does under the benefits general statement.
Was that 48-ish?
Whereas bereavement, we have,
For some reason,
we noticed it just says regular full-time employees.
to me, just out of.
Well, because the regular part-time it, like Mark said, it's based on the hours they work in a quarter for how much PTO they receive. So if we're gonna add them to bereavement, it's not going to matter the hours they work, they're just going to get the 6 hours based on a bereavement request that's approved. I believe. For 1 to 3 days based on the situation.
Or what would be a standard?
Well, it is.
6 days, 5 days, right? It's gonna be 21 to 39.
Hey, so, so in here on this page 48 or whatever, it is, the following listed benefit programs available to regular, full-time, and regular, part-time employees. Is that something, we added that, right? That wasn't in it before.
Here it is reported.
yeah, it's always been in there.
That's.
What the job description of the inspector is. I'll look at that real quick.
But, and we run into problems if we post job descriptions. one classification and they end up doing nothing. That creates conflict.
Well, so seems like we should, again, we have a chart of the different classifications, what you do to meet that classification. What benefits all the benefits that they would be entitled to, and what the cost,
Okay, so
allocations for
here,
these decisions.
the job description for building inspector was general part-time. So that's,
So is our reason to be restricted to 20 hours?
or he becomes part-time.
Or that's
So,
be an
building inspector is general, not regular part-time.
That's, unless this is old, dated January 2021,
Well, then he wouldn't be eligible
He
for
was-
health insurance.
general part-time
unless it's with.
is the classification. Now let me see the hours.
If he's working on that, do that, then it's trigger. That would. Be allowed to keep the hour.
So I think going back then on Carter's, then we were correct on that decision that he's not eligible for it because he's not regular part-time. Just Diane and I believe Honor. What's Honors showing? Is Honor showing regular, part-time?
Honors showed
Some weeks.
building commission
Most weeks he
secretary.
is. He's usually putting in 45 to 60 hours every 2 weeks.
That's that.
Yeah.
Well, this is where,
We're trying to use the classifications here as a gateway to benefits. And it doesn't work that way. We could have a classification of regular, full-time, part-time. And then, so one benefit could have a threshold of 20 hours a week. Another benefit could have a threshold of 40 hours a week. We're trying to use the classification here as of something to restrict or.
Well, I think we're trying to look at,
What we're at,
yeah,
right?
in relation to these. So I don't disagree, but the reason we're going at that direction is because of the way these three positions and our employees are being handled currently, how they should be handled. So,
And if somebody, just to that point, Meg, I 100% agree with you. If someone, since it's a general part-time employer, that's maximum amount of 20 hours per week, they need to be managed. So on average, they're not working 30 hours a week, which then triggers this conflict, and once they get these extra benefits.
right. The other side of it is the what, yes, that's what I was going to say, yes.
It's either this or it's that, can't have someone working and we do the work of someone. Yeah, getting benefits, I just some stuff.
But you can call both of those people regular, part-time person. And then, the benefit triggers, you put in place 20 hours, or 20 hours.
Sure. Sure.
I can pull what the inspector's hours have been, a simple report.
But I don't think that matters, I really don't.
Well,
What do we want to do
he's,
going forward?
it does though, because well, that's exactly, but currently that's the only position that the job description is general part-time out of these three at least. The difference, the job description for the water that was incorrectly full-time in the salary range says regular part-time dash 32 hours per week, whereas the building commission secretary just says regular part-time. And I believe the building commission secretary knows that she can get health insurance if she wanted to. But she doesn't utilize it currently, whereas, as we've been saying, the inspector is general part-time, which did not previously qualify for health, he would like health,
It still doesn't.
but based on the hours,
Is the,
does that put it into a different job category? Correct.
Right.
So that's what needs to be determined, I think, based on us sort of delving into this today.
I think we're and mulling over it. But we need to check out what the definitions of classifications are. What the qualifications are, so you can see how.
Right.
I mean, maybe we have problems that fix, that's not, let's fix them.
Mhm.
But let's be clear going forward, what how things gonna run.
Correct. So, what's the best way?
I'd say do not look at people's records. But,
I would typically agree with that, but we have to, what they've been told or offered does.
no, we have, I mean, we have things to work on in terms of practice. If you put those practices in there, someone needs to work on. Okay, but we need to lock down what we think the current document says and what we want to recommend it be changed to, what have been recommendations.
for me, I would think a recommendation would go along with this here. Because this is getting this to the council, I would have, this would be